Sort your hair out, love.
I'm beautiful.
You are beautiful! Is that Chico? What, are you going to help too?
Helping?
He's not helping.
Fucking helping.
He's like a nice foot warmer though. Would you like to join me in the intro?
Nope.
So hi, welcome to MoggyBoxCraft. I'm Deborah and today I'm going to be joined by Mr. Andrew. You might recognise him from other shouty films as I Can't Sew Worth a Damn. What else have you featured in?
That was probably one of the main ones.
Oh, and moving Tyrion Triffid because he's a Tyrion Triffid and I can't lift him by myself. I think that's where you've highly featured before. Today, or tonight because it's Saturday night, and what else are you going to do this Saturday night? Make cider, apparently.
Sounds like a good plan.
It is a good plan. Well, tonight we're going to be making cider. You're not going to see this process just tonight, you're going to see the whole thing. So what cider are we going to make?
At this time we've actually got some rhubarb from my mum. 20 litres of supermarket's cheapest, 4 litres of slightly nicer pressed stuff just because it might make it a little bit nicer.
Good
Make
plan.
it a little bit posh.
Posh cider instead of the
And then yeah, rhubarb from my mum and a little bit of ginger just to spice it up a little bit, and then some cider yeast.
We're basically making apple, rhubarb and ginger cider. I don't really believe that it's going to be posh cider because every time you've made cider before it's about 8%, which makes it a turbo cider.
And that's 2 kilos of sugar as well, so all that sugar for alcohol. And yeah, apparently make it with supermarket apple juice and you have turbo cider.
That, my lovely internet friends, is what we're going to be doing tonight. Well, I'm not really going to be doing anything. I'm probably going to be drinking a gin. Where is the gin?
I don't know, this is the last batch of the cider though from the last lot. It's pretty good. Would you like me to get you a gin?
I would love a gin.
No bother.
Thank you very much. Right, I'm ready. Thanks very much. Oh yes, that's what we need to start the cider making process.
Chin chin.
It's Pelly drinks in the background. On that note, if you hear any sniffling, snuffling, wheezing, snoring, or anything in this video,
It's probably me.
apart from Andrew, it's probably the dogs. They don't care, neither should you.
You play with the dogs before it even happened, nothing changes.
But yeah, so if you do hear any snuffling, sneezing, or other affectionate sounds, jokes, not really. Anyway,
First thing we've got to do is sterilise everything.
excellent.
Milton tablets, I think they use for all your baby kit, works pretty well, but this is just a powder.
That's what we're going to use first to sterilise everything.
So just put a teaspoon of that in, and we have, if you can pass it over, this 25 litre bucket. But 25 litres actually fills it right up, so we'll be doing about 20 litres, so we've got a little bit of breathing space at the top.
So how do we sterilise this? Just a teaspoon?
So what I do is put about a teaspoon in there, a little bit of warm water, give it a slosh about, give it a quick wipe down, and then I rinse out with cold water. So am I going to do that?
You probably should, yeah. I'll just relax here and wait for you to do the things.
Right.
Okay. So we're ready, are we? That is the fermentation bucket sterilised. This is the checklist that Andy works off. I'll put in the description box below this so you can read it there.
It's a rough guide.
As we go through the process, we'll add in the details. Yeah, I just need a bit more gin just to, you know, power through. To start us off on our cider making quest, well, Andy's cider making quest, I'm just going to supervise. When you're making cider, what's the first thing you do after you've sterilised your bin?
Yeah, you pour in the apple juice.
Okay, so wait, for interests later on, how many bottles are we attempting to make?
4 demijohns, so we should get about 52 bottles.
That's where demijohn we're going to fill. Is it 13 bottles?
I was getting 330ml bottles out of each one of them.
The plan is to fill 4 of these demijohns. So to do that, we're going to take 20 litres apple juice.
20 litres of just supermarket apple juice. We'll probably put about 16 in, and we'll save 4, which we're going to use for boiling up all the diced, mashed up rhubarb.
Okay.
So we'll end up with a rhubarb pulp mix.
So after straining that with
get as much of the liquid off as we can and then strain it through this bit of muslin.
Excellent. And then we put it all into the fermentation bin.
Yeah. And then probably better take it from there when we get there.
Excellent. Let's get cracking, shall we?
We're going to be slicing up the rhubarb.
So the idea is just to...
Just getting the minging ends. Got bits of gardening stuff in them. I think I might give these a quick rinse because there's bits of soil and everything. Just giving this all a quick rinse. Get any bits of garden and ming out of it. It's all going to get boiled up anyway, which will kill pretty much anything, but...
Better to be safe than sorry.
I'm going to try and chop it up nice and small, maximum surface area, and hopefully that'll take a little bit of time off the stewing.
We're just going to chop the rest of the rhubarb into little chunks like this, and then we're going to put it all into this big pot.
Totally sounding like we know what we're doing, but first time I've actually tried it with real fruit, so we'll see what happens.
Although I think this is your, how many times have you made cider now?
Yeah, this will be the third batch of cider on this one, so hopefully I've got the basics of it. Haven't killed anyone yet.
Not yet.
Haven't even a drunken disorderly's out of it yet. Well, maybe slightly drunk and slightly disorderly. And we just empty this in.
So just pop all your chopped up rhubarb into your pot. Let's wait so we know exactly how much. So in the pot, the rhubarb is 6.2 kilos. So what we'll do later is we'll empty the pot, weigh the pot by itself, and we'll find out exactly how much the rhubarb weighs that we've put into the recipe. So our empty pot weighs 1.5 kilos. And if anyone's interested, on the side of our pot gives the measurements, or like the volume it holds. So we're 11.5, 12 litre pot.
So we're just going to empty as much apple juice in here until it's all just covered, and then we're just going to let it simmer away. That's 2 litres in, and another one. That'll probably about do just now. We've
put about 3 litres in to the pot with the rhubarb, so we're going to turn that on now and let it simmer until the fruit is soft.
So a bit of the flamey flame. And we grate some ginger in as well just now while it's all stewing away.
Andy can chop the ginger, I'll drink the gin. It's a good compromise.
So just cutting the bark off here, or whatever you call it on root bark.
We're going to start off with 113 grams apparently of ginger. So grate up the ginger.
So here we have all the grated ginger, and we're just going to...
That was very elegant.
It's like a cat on the table.
Now your ginger is in the mix. Give it a good stir. Bring to a boil and then simmer until your fruit is soft.
The worst DJ name ever. Ginger in the mix.
Ginger in the mix. So decide to put some more ginger in. So we've got 221 grams of ginger going into the mix. What is this, a bit of brew pixie?
This dude, untrustworthy brew pixie.
Do you think? He does look a little bit
Looks a bit like who's the dwarf out of Labyrinth.
Oh yes, mensch. Definitely a few concoctions going on there. So things are fairly boiling over here.
So just going to empty all the apple juice in now. All bar one of them, which we're going to keep for dissolving all the sugar in. Just all goes in here. In fact, I'm actually forgetting my own good advice as well. So if you're pouring out lots of these, so you can do it a little bit quicker and you don't get the glugs. If you just make some air holes, and instead of glugging now, you should be able just to... Yeah, there you go, nice straight pour. Got some pressed apple juice as well. Just thought a little bit of push stuff might make it a bit nicer.
Push stuff.
Just emptying all the apple juice in that we're going to make the cider with.
So sorry guys if you can hear a lot of fridge noise behind you, but this is life and a real kitchen.
What we're going to do now is work out how strong our cider is going to be, and to do that we use one of these guys, which is called a wine hydrometer, and you can just see this gradient here. So depending how high the float goes in the water, or the apple juice, we get a pretty good idea of how strong it will be when the sugar gets turned into alcohol. Just going to fill up this. So the water that doesn't have any sugar in it is sitting just below 0. And then if we try the apple juice, that's actually quite high. It's a bit higher than I expected actually. I reckon it's be about 6%.
And that's different between the apple juice and the water?
Yeah. We're going to put more sugar in though and see if we can get it up to the 8%. To get the sugar to dissolve though, we're going to heat it up. So we're going to get another pot on. It dissolves much quicker and more easily when we've got it on the boil. So we're just going to empty the apple juice into the pot. That'll do. Got the sugar here. Think we're probably going to need a good kilo, but we'll start off with it anyway and we'll see how we get on. This is all just nicely bubbling away, or just about. Don't really need to be too careful about measuring this here because I'm sure we're going to need a lot more. We'll start off with that and just give it a little bit of a stir. So we just added the sugar and it's all dissolving nicely now. Heating it means it dissolves much more quickly. That's almost half a kilo dissolved in about a litre of apple juice already. And now that's gone, we're going to put even more in. And again, just give it a little bit of a stir. That's probably almost going to be our limit for how much we're going to get in a litre. And then we'll empty this into the bucket with the rest of it, and we'll put some more apple juice in to get the rest of that bag dissolved as well. So we'll take that off the heat, and we're just going to empty this into the bucket with the rest of it. Just going to empty this into the cauldron of apples. And we're going to do the same again to finish that kilo off. That's the other half kilo in now. We'll just give that a good stir and let that all dissolve as well. So before we added the sugar, we were sitting at about 6% potential alcohol, and we'll go and see what we're sitting at now that we put about a kilo in here. So we'll fill this up and pop the float back in, and that's nice and about 7.5. I think what we're going to do is start off with about another half kilo in, because I think it's quite good to get it up to about 8.5%. More economic, better to make it as strong as you can, and then dilute it to taste afterwards. Got all the apple juice and the sugar mix and everything in there. This is a muslin that you would use for straining fruits for jam. So we're going to gaffer tape this on and then just going to pour and hope for the best really.
Tucking it in these corners so we can get the tape around it properly.
Taping the muslin on so that it's all good and solid, so we can hopefully now just slowly pour everything over the top of it and not make a total mess everywhere and everything.
Love that theory.
Fingers crossed. Right, let's see how this works. So we're just pouring the jugs in on top of the muslin. It seems to be working reasonably well. This is all the boiled pulped mix with all the rhubarb that we were chopping before, and it's a grated ginger. We're just emptying that in and hopefully just leaving all the fruit behind, so it's just the juice that's going in.
Just carefully pouring the pulp onto the muslin and hopefully that'll drip through.
Might need a little bit of a helping hand with the spoon, and then we'll scrape this off and we'll start again.
And we have a lot of mix to go. Looks like, I don't know, baby food or baby sick. Well, there is quite a lot of juice in there, isn't there?
Yeah, we were boiling it up because normally you'd use an apple press or a fruit press, but I don't even really know how much juice you get out of rhubarb, so thought boiling it up is probably the best way to get the flavour. And
then when we give this to people at Christmas as our Christmas gift, I can actually say I helped.
There might not be any of this batch left for Christmas.
Oh, when's this going to be for?
No, this will be 5 weeks time anyway, so we'll probably, if it's nice, we will.
Halloween.
I don't think I'll be quite ready for that, I'm afraid.
Well, there's no other events in the whole year, Andrew.
I've got a little event every Friday night.
Oh. Pew, pew, pew. Okay, hold on, I think we should try this stove. And get as much liquid out of this mix as possible. Reason 269 for giving up the gym is my New Year's resolution last year. This is how we do our arm workouts.
I think once we get a fruit press, cider apple press, this will make this a lot easier and probably get a much better yield. I think that will do.
Cheers to that. Clink.
Squished all that through now, a little bit of foam in the top. But we'll take the gaffer tape off and we'll see what we've got inside. You can grab that and I'll take the rest of the tape off. Okay. Oh, that's a totally different colour. Brilliant. This has been sterilised. You should usually be doing this in the funnel, but I'm just going to pop it in. It's been sterilised again anyway, so let's see what our final alcohol reading was. And that's sitting about 7%. So the last thing we need to do just now is put in a couple of chemicals that you get from the homebrew shop. Because there's actually fruit matter in this, if you're just making it from apple juice you wouldn't need this, but if you're using real fruit then you need to use pectolase. I can't remember exactly what it does, but it disperses the plant matter and allows it to break down. I think you're much more likely to have a clear cider if you use the pectolase, but it is required if you use real fruit for your cider. It may vary a little bit how much people put in. I was using a rule of thumb of about 1 teaspoon for every 5 litres, and that seems to have worked for me so far. About 20 litres, so we're going to put in 4 teaspoons. And this dissipates over 24 hours, so you need to leave it 24 hours. 2, 3. We're going to give this a wee stir once all this is in as well. 4. And the other one we're going to put in Camden tablets. And again, it's about 1 for every 5 litres. What the Camden tablets do is kill all the natural yeast and bacteria that's in it. And again, that takes about 24 hours to dissipate. So we'll be putting our own yeast in tomorrow. But it means that the only yeast that's going to be reacting with the sugar is our yeast. It's also, I think, I might be wrong in a couple of these, but I think it's by putting these in. If you were to leave apple juice just there for 5 weeks, it would go pretty manky. And all we're doing with these, in a teaspoon, between 2 teaspoons, you can give it a crush it, all your crumbs there, and we've now got powder. And we're just going to do that 4 times. 2, 3, and the last one. And now we've got all the chemicals in, we're just going to give that last little stir. And that is us now good till tomorrow. If we were to put the yeast in now, then the Camden tablets would just kill that as well. Leave it for 24 hours.
Cheers.
Gin.
So Andy's just going to pop the 5-gallon bin out the way, and we are going to wait 24 hours and then add yeast apparently. Chin chin.
Get it all tidied away.
I thought that was your job. So welcome back to the cider making process. It's been 48 hours since we originally made the cider batch mix concoction. So what are we doing now?
Going to pop the yeast in now that the pectolase and the Camden tablets have all dissipated, and it's the yeast that turns into the alcohol. Got the cider yeast, and you can just sprinkle this straight in the top, but normally I just mix it in a glass with a little bit of water first. Add the yeast.
Okay, so just add enough water to the yeast to dissolve it.
Get this rather manky gloopy solution, and then we just pour it in.
This is where the fermentation bin is living, on our spare bedroom floor.
So just pop the lid off. There we go. Pour in the yeast, and that's it. Pop the lid back on for about 5-6 days. You don't really want to be opening it up too much once it's got the lid on, because you get a nice layer of carbon dioxide just sitting on the top, and that stops all the outside air getting in. No touchy.
No touching for how long? How many days?
About 5 or 6 normally.
So now we just leave this to ferment and turn into alcohol. See you in a few days. Has it been a week?
Pretty much.
So it's been a week since...
A week tomorrow.
Stop eating the ball! The dogs want to chew everything, and if you hear any noise, it's the dogs. They don't care. I care. Hold on. Right, let's try that again.
Yes.
So, we've parked the dogs in a different room. So it's been...
Just shy of a week.
Just shy of a week. 8 days ago, we made the initial concoction. 6 days ago, we put the yeast in. So today, what the heck are we doing?
We're taking it out of this, and we're going to be racking it off into these demijohns. And that's where it will be doing the rest of the fermentation. These are all sterilised. There's a bit of scum floating on the top of this now. By siphoning it off, it just means that we're only left with the juice.
That sounds so appetising. Skin.
So, have we looking in the top?
Yes, lads.
You can't actually, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but if you get it where the light shines off, you can actually see the little bubbles.
Here, where you can see the little shimmer and little bubbles.
And that's the yeast turning all the sugar into carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the leftover. That was previously, we were sitting about 8%, and that is now sitting, I've just sterilised this as well by the way, about 5%. So we've probably got about 5% of alcohol left to be produced, but it's sitting quite a bit lower than it was previously, so there's obviously been quite a lot of fermentation taking place there so far. We've got a siphon here, which is just a bit of rubber tubing, a little tap on the end, and it's also got this sort of little attachment here, just kind of stops all the ming from the bottom coming through. To get that to go, you just give it a suck, and then gravity does the work for you. So let's get this going here. There we go. That's really tasty.
Can you taste the ginger in it?
Yeah.
And the rhubarb?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I'd probably put a bit more ginger in next time, but you can definitely taste it.
So we're just going to fill up all the demijohns.
Fill up 4 of these, yep.
That's right, we will continue to fill all these demijohns, these guys right here, and we'll get back to you when we're putting the stoppers in. So that is the fermentation bucket empty. You can just see the remnants of that fruit sludge on the bottom. Let me turn this down a little so you can see it better. So what's all that on the bottom, Andy?
It's the fruit residue. Yeah, you remember all the sludge that came off the bottom of the sieve when we're taking the rhubarb out and everything? And that's all just settled, everything that's been stuffed into it.
And everything else in here. So here's our 4 demijohns.
20 litres of cider.
And we've got an extra jug and a few testers.
We've got these bubblers. The last thing we're going to do is pop these into the demijohns. Just filling about half up with water, and that means when the carbon dioxide is produced, none of the outside air is getting in. And this is just a sealed system, and we'll be leaving these for probably between 4 and 5 weeks. And then again, that just stops anything getting in the top.
Oh yeah, you can see the little bubbles, and that's this sugar being made into alcohol and releasing
Carbon dioxide.
carbon dioxide. There you go.
So we're going to be leaving these for 4 to 5 weeks now, or at least until the bubbling stops completely, and that means that all the sugar's been turned into alcohol. You do need to wait to make sure that it has completely stopped, otherwise you could find that your bottles explode when you cap them. You want to make sure there's no bubbling left. But ideally make sure you don't see a bubble for about 24 hours.
So we've got a little bit left over that wouldn't fit into a demijohn. So how do you reckon this is, like about 3%? Maximum of 4% at the moment.
Perfectly drinkable at this stage though, so cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that is good.
Lovely.
That's so much better than I thought it would be. And it's nice because you can still you've got a little bit of fizz with like, because it's not finished, all the sugar's not finished fermenting. But I do think you can taste like,
oh, the ginger and the rhubarb's definitely there. It's definitely not just apple juice.
no, I think it's a perfect balance actually. I think any more ginger would overpower it, and you wouldn't be able to taste the rhubarb so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously we'll see when it's finished.
And again, we'll see when all the sugar's properly gone because it'll be much less sweet. But no, I'm really happy with that for this stage.
I'd be happy with this just as is. I'm now going to wait 4, 5, 6 weeks.
Depends a bit on temperature and
until it stops bubbling. So you can see all the bubbles. We shall get back to you when that's finished. You can come stand here because if not I look unbalanced because I'm quite short.
you look unbalanced anyway.
Touche. So I will put the whole recipe and everything we've done in the description box below.
My recipe.
Well,
You can have it. Yeah, right.
sharing's caring.
Sorry?
Was that your one?
No, sharing's kidding. It's fine.
Alright. Also, you can subscribe. It's optional, but it's appreciated. You've already subscribed. You poor thing. Subscribe if you'd like to see more exceptional content. That's what this is.
Exceptional content.
Yeah. Subscribe. It's optional, but you should. That is done for tonight then?
Yes.
Just a little update for you guys. The cider is bubbling like crazy. Oh yeah, you can really see the bubbles there. God, look at them. That's crazy.
Boozy bubbles.
It really is, isn't it?
That's just the yeast. When it converts the sugar into alcohol, the carbon dioxide is a byproduct.
Going to continue waiting for these guys to finish fermenting and turning into alcohol. It's the 17th of October now, so I think it's been how many? 3.5 weeks?
Yep.
Since we bottled the cider into the demijohns. Bubbling has slowed right down. Oh, one little bubble there. So these guys, I think, are just about ready to bottle.
So it's been, about 4 weeks since we went to the demijohns. All the bubbling is now stopped. It's going to be sitting about 8% alcohol. We've got the sediment layer along the bottom.
Oh yeah, just
So-
in here.
The actual cider itself is now much, much clearer.
Today is bottling day.
Before we bottled it, I wanted to just do a quick sample. So we've got a couple of glasses here. This is just as it comes out the demijohn, and this one I've added about a teaspoonful of xylitol, which is non-fermenting sweetener. It comes from birch trees, I think.
Is this unsweetened?
That's the unsweetened. Taste it on the front of your tongue first, because then you won't get the alcohol strength that goes back.
Okay. Oh, actually, that's alright. It's really quite like syrupy nearly.
Yeah, that should just take the sharpness off it just with the extra sweetener.
No.
That's the sweetened one now.
Oh, I don't know. I think I prefer the first one.
You prefer unsweetened?
Are you sure that's not the sweetened one? What do you think?
I see what you mean.
I much prefer this one, but are you sure that's not one that's a sweetener in it?
That one definitely tastes sweeter. I'm sure I put it in the one that had the dimple though.
But it was slightly cloudy. Oh. Are we gonna have to like redo this taste test?
You want to try it again?
Yeah, we're gonna have to now we know. So they're both exactly the same at the moment. I say sweeten that one.
Okay.
This has got the sweetener in, this does not. Definitely with the sweetener. I think you've mixed up the glasses.
Yeah.
Definitely with the sweetener.
It does take the edge off it, doesn't it?
So we're definitely put the sweetener in then.
These are 330ml bottles. It means you get slightly more bottles for your demijohns.
We've just been saving bottles from other events.
Just rinse these all out, and they've also just been sterilised again with a steriliser. Got the siphon again, that's all ready to go. The bit with this sort of gunge trap is just at the bottom, so we're not going to get any of the sediment. Working just above, so we won't get the sediment. And then we need to fill these up. The tap off. And there we go. So to sweeten it a bit and also hopefully to make it fizzy, we're going to add some sugar. So we'll get a second fermentation in the bottle. If we just capped it like that, it's going to be very still and it's going to be very dry because all the sugar has been turned into alcohol. What we're going to do is put a teaspoon of sugar into each one. If you put too much in, you can blow the caps, but we're just going to take a bit of a gamble. I know how much I put in last time and how it worked out, so about a teaspoon. That'll make it fizzy because we get second fermentation in the bottle, and with the cap on, there's nowhere for the gas to go, so it gets absorbed in and gives you a fizz, like a can of Coke. All the sugar though will get turned into alcohol, so it's going to be really dry and almost quite bitter. We're going to use some xylitol, but it's a non-fermenting sweetener, which means that it'll sweeten it and it won't get turned into alcohol, so it'll maintain its sweetness. We're going to go for about a teaspoon into each bottle as well. So we're just going to take a spoonful of sugar. This is about 15 mils, but we're going to use just a bit less than that. We're going to go for about that much. Pop that there. And then this is about 7 mils, and that's what we're going to put in a sweetener. There we go. And now we should just be able to funnel this in. Like so. Finally, the clodunker.
The what? The clodunker.
Clodunker, that's the technical term. On. Clodunk. I'll see you in December.
So I think this was bottled on the 18th of October. I can tell you right here, focus. Don't focus on him.
Focus on me.
So it was bottled on the 18th of October 2019. That's the cider bottled and ready for tasting. It's now January 2020 and this has been bottled for what? Nearly 3 months. So I think it's time to do a taste test. Go and do the honours.
Yeah!
I was kind of half expecting that to be like and explode everywhere. A little bit for me, most of it for you. Let's be honest, you're going to drink my one as well because I'm doing dry January.
And February and March.
And February and March.
Apple, rhubarb and ginger.
So the apple, rhubarb and ginger.
Cheers.
Oh, it is really good.
I'm pretty happy with that.
Like, it doesn't even taste that strong.
And it
like,
is 8%.
Yeah, I reckon it's come out by 8%. I mean, I wouldn't say there's like loads and loads of fizz or anything in it. I don't know if you guys can see. Too little focus. Like, there isn't like loads of bubbles or...
But there's definitely a bit of life in it when it hits your tongue.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely alcohol. It's there. It's definitely there. And yeah, I do think you get a bit of everything. Like, okay, so what would you change? Would you do anything differently next time?
Probably put in twice as much rhubarb.
Ginger?
I think it's probably about right for ginger.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, I think if you maybe put any more ginger, it might be overpowering.
You can put in a little bit, but after having some actual just rhubarb ciders, I could definitely double up on the rhubarb. But we had what we had.
It's good though, isn't it? It's really good. This is partly the reason why I'm doing dry. This is partly the reason why I'm doing dry January. Oh my goodness, let's skip that bit. I can't even say dry January. Dry January. I can say dry gin.
And that is the problem, my dear.
Dry wine, dry white wine, dry January.
People are like, what are you doing? Dry gin. Bring it over. Come on then. I tried. Briefly.
I did try. I am trying. I'm doing okay so far. So far so good. Obviously, I know this is alcohol. I'm not counting this because I'm doing this for you guys. And for you.
Thank you, my dear.
You're welcome. But yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
It's not too sweet, not too bitter.
It's got a really nice, slightly cloudy, but it's got a really nice...
But I think that's more the ice, because in the bottle it looks really clear. I'm going to leave that for you to drink the rest of, because I'm being good for dry January. Dry January, even if I can't say that properly. Oh thanks, you finishing that for me?
That's what you said.
Yeah, appreciate that. I hope you've enjoyed our... I can't really say our, can I? I hope you've enjoyed Andy's apple, rhubarb and ginger cider recipe.
Because we certainly have.
And I think a lot of our friends and family have as well, because we gave them this Christmas gifts. Yeah, if you liked this video, please give us a like or write a little comment. I know.
Bye.
I hope you found this useful or educational or somewhat amusing or just mostly entertaining. Subscribing is optional, but it is very appreciated. Especially if you'd like to see anything else we grow and turn into alcohol when I'm not doing dry January or dry February
Well,
or
you
dry
carry on,
March.
you keep it up. I'm right behind you on this one.
But growing fruit and veg in the garden so you can make it into alcohol.
But I can drink.
Alright, yeah. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye! And you can now finish off the alcohol. Yeah, dry January. Right, guys. See you next time. Bye!